Okay, so here's the tailgate I'm going to be working on in this video. It's off a square body Chevy, 81 or 82, I forgot. But they're probably the same anyway. This is actually the first thing I've ever painted in my life about 10 years ago. And since parts of it still look kind of good, I think I did that Chevy part really good, and that's like the hardest part. But anyway, I don't know if you'd call that a complete fail. It didn't really hold up that well, but it is pretty old. Okay, so this paint job has every type of problem that you could think of. Like small examples of it. You have some bubbling right here. You have some places like that that got scraped. But since it went all the way to bare metal, you could kind of say that that was kind of bad adhesion for the primer, I guess. It has some sand scratches in it, and that's actually a low place that wasn't filled right, I guess. It also has these little crow feet things on it. And it has the clear peeling. Okay, so I have a small assortment of different kind of sandpapers that stick to a Durablock. I have an old Durablock. I have an old orbital sander. You can see how old it is. I haven't messed with this stuff for years. I don't even know if I still know how to paint. That's why it shows such a small project, because I need to get back into it slowly. I don't know what I have here, what I'm forgetting, what I'm missing. And I want to try to use up some of this old material. I even have some white paint for it. The worst that can happen is I just have to redo it or something's, you know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slap a piece of 80 grit on the Durablock and kind of sand over stuff like that and see what's underneath. And also I'm going to try to find any low spots or see how straight it is. It might be better just to go ahead. As bad as it is, it's almost like you might as well just start knocking all the paint off. But I like to do stuff the slow way. See, I'm telling you, I'm going to have all kinds of problems like this. This stuff is old. Anyway, I'll be back when I make some progress. When you're sanding and chipping stuff, make sure you wear safety glasses. You don't want to flick something off in your eye. But I've made a little bit of progress. But one thing I want to point out real quick is that area right there. This is really not even that sharp. And watch this. I don't want to push too hard and damage it, but just trying to make an example of it. But a lot of this, it's like it flakes off to bare metal. That's not good. That's bad adhesion. But yeah, bad adhesion. That's what I'm doing. I'm kind of assessing what I need to take off. And actually, I didn't want it to come to this, but I think I'm going to just strip the whole thing. Okay, back to the top part. The reason why I think I'm going to strip the whole thing is because you have places like this that, oh, don't ever do that. That went under my fingernail. This probably has some bad adhesion right here, and the paint probably didn't stick good there either. And once you start taking some off, then you have all this crow's foot stuff on it too. The real problem is if you dig out a low spot, how are you going to fill it? It just needs to come off. Okay, so I always use a respirator even though it's just dust. This is all I have, and some safety glasses. Keep this stuff out of my lungs. I'm not going to sand it all off by hand like it probably looked like I was in the beginning. I have two things in my arsenal. I have this wire brush that's a cup for a 4.5 inch grinder. And then I have the stripper disc. To be honest, this is probably the worst way to do it, because it keeps digging in. So there's a whole bunch of little ripples right now. That's probably gonna be hard to get out. You know, it might not matter if you're going all the way to bare metal anyway, but it's just kind of making me stop a little bit before I have a whole bunch of little divots all over it. I'm gonna figure out how to take this paint off. And whenever I figure it out, I'll come back and talk about it. Okay, so I decided I'm going to go ahead and use some Rust-Oleum aircraft remover. Okay, so here I am just spraying it on, and then I'm going to scrape it off in a minute, and then we're just going to go ahead and skip over to the next day. Okay, this is day 2. I left off yesterday with removing some paint with that aircraft remover. Then I went ahead and sanded on it a little bit, and also got some body filler and some little spreaders for it. I think that's what you call these little plastic spreader things. Okay, so after I stripped most of the paint off with that aircraft remover, I went ahead and put a strip of 80 grit, or it might have been 40 grit, on my DuraBlock, and I thought I was just going to go ahead and sand all the rest of the primer off and this and that. But actually this is taking way too long, and I may not show this in the video, but I went ahead and just put my wire brush on the grinder and stripped most of the paint off. You know, this is getting really frustrating. This is actually kind of like, I don't know, I don't even feel like doing this anymore. This turned into a big project. Okay, so then I came up with the bright idea that doing the little detailed areas around the part that says Chevrolet on it, I went ahead and just got my sandblaster, and I thought it was going to be easy just to sandblast it, but then my sandblaster wasn't working right. It wasn't sucking up enough sand. This or that, I had problems. And either way, I kind of got it done a little bit, but it didn't really work out too good. So let's just go ahead and move forward with this project. Okay, making a little progress, slowly but surely. I sandblasted this, but my sandblaster's not really working that good. Running into all kinds of problems. One of the downsides of using a chemical like that aircraft remover, I never even thought about that until it happened, is that it kind of dissolves the bodywork, the body filler, and it makes it softer. Either that or maybe it was already soft. I'm pretty sure that stuff did it. So what I'm trying to say is that now you're obligated to strip it down to bare metal, because I originally was thinking that I was just going to scuff it and, you know, kind of like keep some of the bodywork in there because I'd already flattened it out pretty good. But that, all I'm saying is now you're kind of obligated, because once you put that aircraft remover on there and now the body filler is softened like that, I would not trust it anymore. I'm pretty sure now it needs to just be ground out. Anyway, whatever. It's kind of a learning process for me, or a relearning process, because I do kind of know how to paint, I guess. I never really got that good at it. I just painted like 3 or 4 things in like about 10 years ago, and I never touched it again. And I'm just kind of like trying to relearn it and get back into it. I'm just going to take my grinder with the wire wheel and just grind all this out and start over. And a lot of this I'm not even gonna worry about it too much, because this actually gets aluminum plate that bolts on over here that covers all this. So I'm not gonna really take too much time on making it perfect. And this is why I wanted to do like a practice piece on something I don't really care about, because this is just going on an old work truck that it doesn't have to be perfect. I just wanted it to be halfway decent and just kind of get some practice. And I'm running into a lot of problems, like my sandpaper's not sticking to my DuraBlock. Who knows what else? My paint gun might not work anymore. My sandblaster doesn't work very good right now for some reason. Yeah, so I'm just kind of relearning something that I was never really good at to begin with. Either way, I'll get back whenever I'm ready to spray some primer on this. Okay, so I'm going to have to end this video right now because I kind of opened up a big can of worms. But I will be making a part 2 video of this, or maybe even another part 3, part 4, whatever, to where I show how I'm going to go ahead and fill this and then eventually paint it. Either way, if you found this video entertaining or helpful, please like and subscribe. The end.